So as mentioned, we're talking about moving beyond resolutions. And I want to talk really about the question that I get all the time is, are New Year's resolutions worth it? And are they worth setting? Are they just a waste of time? We get all kinds of variations on that question every single year. And I talk to hundreds of people that are like, yeah, I never set resolutions. They don't work. And there's a bunch of reasons why. We're going to talk about 7 key factors, and we'll go into that in a little bit. But let's dive a little bit into what that means to say, I don't set resolutions, they don't work, because that is probably the overwhelming consensus I get from people who don't set resolutions. On the other hand, I get lots of people that are saying, yes, I set them every year. And I'm like, and how's that working for you? And they say, well, you know, life's busy, things happen, and all these excuses come up. When we look at the stats, it's like 92% of resolutions that are set every year fail. It means only 8% succeed. I know I'm a math major. It's massive, but 8%, that's abysmal in terms of success rate. And there are a few reasons why. The first thing is, what is someone's definition of a resolution? And if your definition of a resolution is that you're on New Year's Eve and you probably had a few beverages in you and you're like, I'm going to do this next year. And if that's all you say and the only time you ever say it and the only action you take towards it, then of course they're a waste of time. It's just some whim that you set out on New Year's Eve, and it might be something that you've thought about many times. Maybe it's something you tried to accomplish in the past, but you get emotional on New Year's Eve and you're like, I'm gonna lose weight this year. I'm gonna learn, take a course this year. I'm gonna make more money this year. Whatever I'm gonna stop smoking. I'm gonna exercise more. I'm gonna go to bed earlier. It's I'm going to, or I should, or I want to. But if there's no follow-up, then yeah, they're a waste of time. So what we'll do is we're going to talk about the 7 key factors that are important to resolution success. And the first one is to shift your mindset, or upgrade your mindset, as we call it. And there are a number of different mistakes that people make around mindset. And the first is that they don't really know what the definition of a resolution is. And I'm going to talk about that. So a lot of people think a resolution is different than a goal, when they're exactly the same, if you approach it from that perspective. Again, if you're just thinking it's a whim on New Year's Eve, then it's not like a goal. But one of the reasons that people fail is because they think about them separately. When you resolve to do something, which is where the word comes from, it means you're dedicated and determined to do it. So if you are dedicated and determined to do it, then having a goal format and a goal structure makes it much more likely that it's going to succeed. And the great thing is, every one of you are, high functioning corporate professionals. You know how to set goals. You do it at work all the time, yet most people don't do that for their personal life. So shifting your mindset around setting goal, or not to say you don't set it for your personal life, but maybe for your health, your fitness, or you don't set them in the same way as resolutions. So having your mindset shift to say, hey, when I actually make the effort to set a resolution, I'm going to take those extra couple steps to define what it is you want to accomplish. And we'll talk about some of the things that come into play. So a couple other mindset actions that or mistakes that people make are that believing you're doomed to failure. Well, if that's how you start off, then of course you will be. Understanding that change is sometimes difficult and challenging, and it's a bit of a journey. But when you have the right framework in place, and when you follow these perspectives or these steps that we'll talk about, you're going to notice that you'll be able to build your confidence, and you'll realize that you have a bit of a structure around you to help you make some of those changes that are a little more challenging. So that's the first one, is shifting your mindset. Now, the second one is clearly defining your objective. Now, this, of course, makes sense. If you're like, well, but I said I wanted to lose weight. Oh, if we could, anyone who's not muted, if you could just mute yourself, that'd be great. Thank you. It makes sense if you. There we go. Apparently Francis muted me. Did anyone hear that? So what I was saying is, if your goal is to lose weight, people think, well, that's my objective. I want to lose weight. But losing weight's not really clear or distinct. I was saying, I could say, well, you know what? In order, we can lose 20 pounds or 30 pounds or 40 pounds right now. I'm just going to cut off one of your legs and then you'll be lighter. But that doesn't really solve the problem. In fact, it makes it worse. The same thing is, I can put you in a rubber suit and put you on a bike in a sauna, and you're going to sweat out, 20 pounds of water, and you'll step on that scale and you'll weigh less for sure, but you're going to be dehydrated and probably have some health impacts because of it. So we want to get a little more clear in what it is we actually want to accomplish. Do you want to just lose scale weight, or do you want to lose body fat? Because those are very different things. How much body fat do you want to lose? Do you want to maintain the muscle or build muscle while you're losing body fat? Because someone may lose 20 pounds of body fat, but gain 20 pounds of muscle and weigh the exact same amount on the scale. Yet when they get to the end, they're like, oh, I failed at my goal. I didn't lose any weight this year. But your body's going to look a lot different. It's going to feel a lot different. Your health is going to change a lot because of that. And those are things that you'll be able to make sure that you're dialing in when you clearly define your objective. And one of the ways we do that is raise your hand or whatever if you've heard of SMART goals. Okay, SMART goals, most people have heard of them. They're great. We like to say, make smarter goals. And it's the same SMART thing: specific, measurable, action-oriented or attainable, realistic, and time-bound. And those are really important to do. We want to have those things in place, but the ER in SMARTer means evaluated regularly and rewarded positively. And those are important things that often people miss. So when we're setting our objective, we make sure we're clear and we've got all these attainable and time-bound goals, but then we have to evaluate that regularly, because sometimes things change. And we might say, you know what, this goal was really important at one point. It's not now, or maybe it is, but we're not quite on track to where we wanted to be. So we want to evaluate on a regular basis. And that might change a little bit for, I guess the time period might change based on what your goals are. Sometimes it's weekly, sometimes it's daily, sometimes it's monthly. We just check in. How are we progressing? What's working? What's not? What do we need to change? And are we on track? Is it still important? And again, it's not rocket science by any means, but a lot of people forget to do that. And so it's 6 months go by and they think they've been working really hard maybe, but they pop their head up. It's like, who's ever done open water swimming? And you're like swimming and you're working like this, and you pop your head up and all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute, I was supposed to be going that way. And you've put on all this effort to go one direction when you could have been going the other way. And the rewarded positively is important as well, because rewarding yourself for the progress, celebrating those small wins on even a daily basis can make a tremendous difference. Because if we've had clients in their goals to lose well over 100 pounds. That's a pretty daunting goal at the beginning to think, oh man, I see where I want to go, but it's just so overwhelming to even think about that. So rewarding yourself for the small little actions and habits and things you put in place each day will help you feel good and help you see small progress along the way. And then when you're evaluating it regularly, you pop up and say, okay, yeah, how far am I towards that goal? Am I still getting in the right direction? And that's really critical to that success as well, that again, some people forget. Another thing when you're setting your goals is to tie your resolution or the goal to your, what I call your why. And if you've ever read Simon Sinek's book or seen his TED Talk on Start With Why, I highly recommend it. But it's like, what's that emotional connection? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why is it important to you? Why are we wanting to make progress towards this? And this is important because a lot of people get into the habit of setting a goal or a resolution for someone else, or because they think they should. Well, it's, I'm carrying a few extra pounds. I probably should lose some weight. That's not really compelling. It's not like, that's not going to get you up in the morning to do the exercise or get you up to do your morning routine or get you to bed at night so you get more sleep, because it's really just, well, maybe. Sounds like a good idea. Maybe I should do it. And so when we have that type of approach, there's no incentive or there's no drive to get us going past what are going to inevitably be tough times along that journey. So I really encourage clients to dive deep into what it is they actually want to accomplish. Some of that comes to the goal setting, the SMART goal setting side is, are you being really specific about it? But in the smarter goal aspect, you can set a smarter goal, but it can have no emotional value for you. And it doesn't mean you won't accomplish it, but it's a lot easier to accomplish something when you're really passionate and driven about understanding why it's important in your life. One of the most common things, goals that people have when I sit down with them is they'll say, oh, I want to lose weight. I'm like, okay, why? Well, because I'm overweight. Well, why are you overweight? Well, work's been busy and I've neglected my health. Well, why? We start digging deep and we get to that, what's the core thing you want to actually change? And I've had literally clients in tears in a consultation because they're like, oh, I'm 53 years old right now, and my parents died at 54 from obesity or from a heart attack, and I went to the doctor the other day, and now I've got high blood pressure, and my doctor says I'm at a risk of heart attack now, and I don't want to end up like my parents, and I've got kids, and I know it was so traumatic for me to lose my parents at such a young age, and I don't want to do that to my kids, and I'm like, that's compelling. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So let's talk about how we're going to do that. Because when you can tap, and not to say everyone's in that situation, but there's going to be an emotional reason, an emotional connection for you to set that goal. So that's critically important to tie it into why you're doing it and why it's important in your life. What's the positive impact it's going to have in your life when you get to that endpoint that you're envisioning? Once we've set that, we've shifted our mindset, we've defined our objective, we've tied it to our why, then we want to put some simple success habits in place. And which habits you put in place are going to vary a little bit based on what your goal is, but by going beyond the setting the goal and then just hoping it's going to happen, we're putting a framework or strategy, like a strategy and action plan in place to make sure that we're getting the results that we have envisioned. And so this is where, again, that if we're open water swimming, we pop up and we're like, oh, I'm in the wrong spot. By having those daily success habits, it's going to be much easier to stay on the right path. And again, while there are lots of habits that we can build, there are 3 key habits that I think, I believe are important for success in whatever goal you're trying to accomplish. And I break those up into times of the day. So a morning routine, morning success habit, and then a daytime energizer set of habits to focus and energize yourself, and then an evening wrap up ritual, things that are happening at each point of the day. So you're strategically putting key things in place that are going to help you be successful regardless of what your goals are. And this is work, life, family. You'll be able to be higher functioning and higher performing in each of those areas. So in the morning, getting up a bit earlier, taking some time for yourself, a little bit of exercise, stretching, mobility, some journaling, maybe meditation, something that's going to get you going, focus you for the day, boost your enthusiasm, your motivation, your energy. Then in the day, it's easy for our energy to come down. We want to have some simple things, I call it like movement minutes and mobility minutes throughout the day that are going to boost our energy, and little tasks that we can do to help us focus. Maybe it's listening to our favorite song before we go into a meeting, or making sure we carve out a bit of quiet time to focus on an important task. Those are things that are success habits that sometimes I forget about. And then evening, getting to bed on time, doing a bit of mobility or meditation before bed to calm yourself down so you sleep better, turning off devices an hour or so before bed so we're not like stimulated and have all this blue light in our eyes and brains before we go to bed. Those things are going to set you up for success in whatever you're doing. So that's something to consider. And one of the key areas that we focus on with clients to make sure that they're able to show up and perform at their best every day. The next step is create an accountability team. Have a support system in place. As much as we like to think we're independent and we can just go hard and do everything on our own, it's so much easier when we have a team in place. And whether that's friends or family or coworkers, or you hire a coach, any of those things can help. But have someone else who's there, and I guess helps you have skin in the game, I guess you would say, and will help keep you accountable. And the last one is to focus on your top goal. Or sorry, two more. The second last one is focus on your top goal. And it's tempting, especially once we shift our mindset and we get quite motivated about this. We're like, I'm going to accomplish this and this and this and this. And we list 10 goals, and you might have all those goals. That's fine. But sit down with that list and look at them and say, okay, if I could only accomplish one of those goals, which one would make the biggest impact on the rest of my life? Which one would make the biggest impact on my ability to accomplish the others? And then focus on that one. And once you get going on that and you've got a bit of a routine going, you can start to add another one and another one. But a lot of people start to, right off the bat, start with 10 different goals, and it dilutes your focus, it dilutes your energy. And I've fallen into this trap before too, of set all these goals at the start of the year, and I'm like, and I get like 10% done of 10 goals instead of 100% done of one goal. And you start to feel frustrated and scattered, I guess you would say. And so the last one is, I guess, a bit of a culmination of some of the other ones, is to avoid relying on willpower by having your clearly defined goal, tapped into your why, and success habits in place, and the accountability team, and only focusing on the top one. You're able to have this system that takes the willpower out of it. Because what a lot of people do, and January rolls around and they're like, yes, I'm going to go hard to the gym 5 days a week for an hour. And they've never been to the gym 5 days a week ever in their life. Yet they're like, I'm going to do 5 days a week for an hour. They're super hard class. And by end of January or early February, they're just burnt out. They're like, there's no system in place to support it, and they just crash. And that's, by February, something like over 80% of goals are already off the tracks because people don't have this system in place. So I know we've talked about a whole bunch of stuff right now. I'm going to open it up for questions, and I'd love to answer any questions you have and let's dive in. Francis put the different steps in the chat, and I do have some like a little document I can send you, or a summary of that if anyone's interested. Just let me know. You can throw that in the chat, but throw in some questions because I know they're there. Just feel free to unmute yourself. Or raise your hand. Now, was my, I just saw someone, oh, someone said my audio was echoing. Is it still doing that? No? Okay, that's good. All right, now let's do this a different way. So anyone, you can just raise your hand in the picture or like the icon for your hand. Who has set a resolution this year? Not many hands coming up. I'm going to switch back to gallery, switch to gallery view here. All right. So no one's saying that. Okay. Who never sets resolutions at all? Okay. All right. Who wants to share with me why they don't set resolutions?
I don't know if I have a good reason, why I haven't set a resolution. Generally, I'd say I'm just interested in health and fitness, and that's kind of partly why I joined today. And it's already a pretty big part of my life, but there's always things that I'm like, well, I wish I could do a little better, I'm already active several times a week and I mostly eat healthy, but there's things that I, maybe aren't my priorities, and I wish that they were. So yeah, that's kind of my perspective joining today.
Great. And that goes to the a bit of the mindset around what is the resolution. Like resolutions have a bit of a bad rap because it's like, oh yeah, I set some resolution, they never work out. And very few, like not as many people set resolutions, but almost everyone sets goals. And what I'm trying to do is help people understand that resolutions and goals are the same. A resolution is really just a goal that happens, or New Year's resolution is a goal that happens at the start of the year for something you want to accomplish that year. And it can be just, hey, you know what? I'm active all the time. I'm thinking about maybe I'll run a 10K this year. Or maybe I'm going to try this new sport that I haven't done. And I'm going to, maybe it's just, I want to do, I talked to a client the other day who said, my goal is to try a new activity every month for this year. And so in January, they did some, it was a new martial art they were trying, like Taekwondo classes, I think, or something. And they said in February, they were going to do a different martial art than that because they like martial arts, but they were looking at what they were going to do each year throughout, or each month throughout the year. It's like, okay, great. And they didn't really put, I'm going to do this many sessions per month or whatever, because again, they were pretty active already, but that for them, their goal was to open their eyes to new opportunities to be active. And, so their resolutions can be lots of different types. And then Francis said, yeah, I set resolutions at different times of the year, situational rather than just in January. For sure, absolutely. And New Year's resolutions don't have to be this all-encompassing thing for the year. You can set like a summer. My summer resolution is to do this. My fall resolution is to do that. And it's really just a goal and how we approach it in our mind. And so glad you came today. That's good, especially someone who doesn't set resolutions.